British energy group BP is selling its stake in Russian oil company Rosneft. BP had held a 19.75% stake in Rosneft since 2013. The exit was also associated with the resignation of BP boss Bernard Looney and his predecessor Bob Dudley as members of the Rosneft board of directors, the group said in a statement on Sunday. According to British media reports, BP gave in under pressure from the government in London. Like so many, I'm deeply shocked and saddened by the situation in Ukraine, and my heart goes out to all who have been affected, Looney said in a statement. The events triggered a fundamental realignment in the relationship between BP and Rosneft. The priority is taking care of the people in the region. The decision made jointly by the BP board is also in the long-term interest of the group. BP Chief Supervisor Helge Lund described Russia's attack on Ukraine as an act of aggression that will have tragic consequences around the region. BP has worked in Russia with brilliant Russian colleagues, as they say, for 30 years, but the military deployment represents a fundamental change. The board of directors had therefore come to the decision that the participation in the state-owned Russian company could not be continued. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has rejected a government ban on Russian state broadcaster RT. We follow the principle in this country that we do not give politicians the right to ban this or that media organization, said the Conservative politician in a television interview on Sunday evening. Johnson made no secret of what he thinks of RT. I have to say, I think the stuff that RT is spreading at the moment does a lot of damage to the truth, said the Prime Minister. Well, I say it's pure propaganda. It's therefore important that the media regulator Ofcom checks whether the broadcaster meet the standards. The government ordered an Ofcom review of RT just last week. An Ofcom spokesman confirmed, according to the PA news agency, that the channel would have its license revoked if the audit found that standards for truthful and balanced reporting were not being met. In the fight against Russian propaganda, the EU wants to ban the Russian state media RT and Sputnik. They would no longer be able to spread lies to justify Russian President Vladimir Putin's war against Ukraine and sow division in the EU, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said in Brussels. The German politician said they are working on tools to ban poisonous and harmful disinformation in Europe. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson sees the indirect Russian threat of nuclear weapons as a distraction from the difficulties the Russian military is facing in invading Ukraine. Vladimir Putin's troops are encountering more resistance than the Russian president expected, Johnson said in London. And he said, "This is a disastrous, failed enterprise." Russia's president had previously instructed that the nuclear power's deterrent weapons be put on what they called special alert. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has promised further aid and the unbureaucratic reunification of family members in view of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The UK will provide £40 million in humanitarian aid, Johnson said on Sunday evening. This should, for example, finance medical materials such as syringes, bandages and medicines. Altogether, the aid payments to Ukraine this year amounted to £140 million. In addition, everyone who lives in Great Britain should be allowed to bring their direct relatives into the country. London will continue to supply arms to the Ukrainian military, the Conservative politician continued. And in the EU, by the way, every Ukrainian can enter the EU, does not have to apply for asylum. They are immediately granted a 3-year permission to stay and work in the EU. British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss has warned of Russia's use of even worse weapons in Ukraine. Intelligence information indicated that Ukrainian forces continue to resist the Russian advance, but this could mean that the war could become very, very bloody, as she put it. Truss told Sky News on Sunday, "We have to prepare for it, be that Russia will try to use even worse weapons. The determined fight of the Ukrainians for their sovereignty and territorial integrity could mean that the conflict will last for several years," said Truss. This could well mean the beginning of the end for Kremlin chief Vladimir Putin, and I fear that he's determined to use the worst means in this war, she said. The British Foreign Secretary reacted cautiously to Russia's proposal to negotiate with Ukraine, which is happening at the moment I'm sitting here and filming. To do this, Russia must first withdraw its troops from the neighboring country, she said. You can't negotiate with a gun on the Ukrainians' temples. They have to withdraw their troops, she said. Amid the ongoing war, Ukraine says it has filed a lawsuit against Russia at the International Court of Justice in The Hague. Russia must be held accountable for manipulating the notice of genocide to justify aggression, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky tweeted on Sunday. We are calling for an urgent decision ordering Russia to cease military activities now and expect trials to begin next week. To the horror of the international community, Russia attacked the neighboring country last Thursday and has since carried out airstrikes in various parts of Ukraine, among other things. But despite the lack of evidence, Kremlin chief Vladimir Putin repeatedly spoke of a genocide against the Russian-speaking population in eastern Ukraine and justified his invasion with the protection of his people and denazification, something he brought up, with a Jewish president, the only Jewish president outside of Israel in Ukraine. US entrepreneur and Tesla founder Elon Musk has announced the activation of his company SpaceX's Starlink satellite internet service in Ukraine. Starlink is now operational, Musk wrote on Twitter on Saturday. Work is underway to unlock more stations. Earlier, Ukraine's digital minister Mikhailo Fedorov called on Musk to bring satellite internet to Ukraine in the face of the Russian invasion. While you are trying to colonize Mars, Russia is trying to occupy Ukraine, Fedorov previously wrote to Musk on Twitter. In response to Musk's quick response, Fedorov later thanked the American on Twitter and everyone who supports Ukraine. SpaceX's Starlink operates around 2,000 satellites. The aim of the program is to give large parts of the world access to the internet. On Friday, the company launched around 50 more satellites. It was initially unclear whether and how the service could actually be used in Ukraine. Now it's England versus Russia. According to the English Football Association, this duel will no longer take place on the international football stage. The FA disallows all matches against Russian national teams at all levels and in all age groups because of Russia's war against Ukraine. And that's a clear statement from the FA. The English Football Association does not want to play any more international matches against Russia until further notice. The background is the Russian war against Ukraine, the association announced on Sunday evening. Out of solidarity with Ukraine and to fully condemn the acts of violence committed by the Russian leadership, the FA can confirm that we will not be playing any international matches against Russia for the foreseeable future, the association said in a statement. And as I said, any games in any age groups and in the stable sports are off now. Under the impact of the dramatic images from Ukraine, Russia is also becoming increasingly isolated in world sports. Also on Sunday evening, FIFA initially banned international football matches on Russian soil and threatened complete exclusion from all tournaments. Some associations and players have already made their own decisions, with world footballer Robert Lewandowski as an urgent reminder. The Polish and later also the Swedish and Czech football associations announced that they did not want to compete in the World Cup playoffs in Russia at the end of March. UEFA made the first far-reaching decision on Friday to move the Champions League final from St. Petersburg to Paris. The Continental Association wants to deal with further consequences of the Russian invasion of Ukraine in the near future. The role of the controversial Russian financier Gazprom is also increasingly coming into focus. The Russian state-owned company is a premium sponsor of UEFA for the Champions League and also one of the main sponsors for the European Championship 2024 in Germany. But Schalke 04 already took all Gazprom advertising from their football clothes. Jürgen Klopp danced beamingly in front of the stands after the final whistle. Wembley Stadium shone in red light. Liverpool won the English League Cup for the first time under the German coach. The Reds beat Thomas Tuchel's FC Chelsea on penalties 11-10 in extra time. In front of more than 85,000 spectators at the atmospheric Wembley Stadium in London, the two teams fought a fast-paced game and one of the most entertaining League Cup finals in years. Ironically, Chelsea goalkeeper Keeper, who came on for the penalty shootout, missed the winning shot after all 21 shooters had previously scored from this spot. No goal was scored during regulation, the regular time, and the 30-minute overtime. On Saturday, Russian Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich, who's accused of being close to Kremlin boss Vladimir Putin, handed over control of the club from London. Because of the war in Ukraine, calls have been made in Britain to impose sanctions on the Russian billionaire. According to reports, Chelsea FC is not yet up for sale though. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.